Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Chadel Mathre, and at present I am transitioning to lifestyle content. Or at least I hope so. Today's video will be about things that I have learned in my 20s that nobody told me about or nobody prepared me for, I feel. So I recently celebrated my 30th birthday. We're growing over here, honey. And in the periods leading up to my birthday, I typically have a reflection period. I would even say that throughout my 29th year, I have been even more introspective than usual. And a few of these themes kept recurring when I assessed what I'd been prepared for, the things that I would be taking into my 30s, the things and the ideas that I would be letting go of. So I listed some of the things that jump to the top of my mind when I consider what I was not prepared for, and I will be sharing those with you. So let's kiki and chat in the comment section below, and hopefully you guys will be seeing me a lot more on here throughout the month of December. I am experimenting with some things, and I hope that you guys will engage with me as we move forward. So the first thing that I wrote down that I was not prepared for is that there are periods in your life where you do not feel at home within yourself. That's how I describe it. What that simply means is that there are certain seasons where you do not feel like yourself. You feel a little lost. What I found is that these periods of feeling unsure of yourself are often preceded by these major life changes or these transitions that take place in our lives. And so it means that every one of us may go through these periods. And I want to clarify, I am not speaking about pervasive low self-esteem. I'm not speaking about pervasive insecurities. I'm speaking about these periods where you're just not as sure of yourself. And I've learned that what you do during these periods matter as well. So that's something I feel like I was unprepared for. On the heels of that, another thing that I feel like I was unprepared for is the changes that you will endure in your body as you get older. And I must note that if you are going to weather these changes well, your mind needs to adjust as well. In about my 20th year or thereabout, my chest size grew and my chest became more visible. And it took quite a bit of adjusting for me. So I felt almost displaced in my body because of this very seemingly minor change, because it was not what I was used to. I don't feel like I was prepared for the mental adjustments that changes in your body will require from you. It may be in small ways, and some people may try to downplay the effects that this has, but if you're feeling displaced within yourself because of these changes, you are not alone, and it just requires some mental adjustment. Another thing that I feel like I was not necessarily prepared for is the fact that some relationships, some things are not salvageable. I kind of grew up knowing that friendships don't last for forever, relationships don't last for forever, but somehow along the way I developed this idea that if I did them well, I could at least salvage some part of the friendship or some part of the relationship. Even if things changed, there didn't have to be a complete severing. And I've come to find out quite recently, I've come to acknowledge, I should say, that sometimes there needs to be a severing, and that is important for good boundary setting sometimes. So yeah. Another thing that nobody prepared me for is that menstruation might rule your life as a young woman. And I'm not necessarily referring to the extreme experiences of menstruation. even for me who does not have extreme experiences of menstruation, I feel like menstruation is ruling my life. I feel like 2 weeks before the bloodbath, sorry to be so gory, my body is changing, my moods are shifting, and 2 weeks after, my body is just adjusting again, and my moods are just readjusting, and the cycle happens again, and I am tired. But also, I don't feel like I was prepared for the effects that menstruation would have on my mood, on my emotions. Nobody told me. I mean, I knew that you could get moody with your menstrual cycle, but nobody told me what that would feel like, and what that would look like in my day-to-day life. Like, yeah, so I actually have to make adjustments or be aware of my cycle in a different way now, so that I am managing myself well and I'm managing my relationships well. Another thing that I wrote down is that nobody prepared me for how many times I may have to reinvent myself in my lifetime. Reinventing yourself is the process of pretty much taking stock of your life, seeing what works and what doesn't, and exchanging what doesn't work for new patterns, new behaviors that do work. And that can happen on a small scale, but it can also happen on a large scale. I don't think I was prepared for the reality that I can be many different things in this lifetime. So for me, I've done career shifts throughout my 20s. I started out studying social work. I started out thinking that I wanted to do direct practice, one-on-one, individual, group counseling type stuff. Then I moved into the humanitarian world. That was a reinvention in and of itself. And I then decided that I enjoyed working in the humanitarian world. It allowed me to use my social work skills, but it also allowed me to contribute something new through project design and implementation. And I may find myself changing or shifting my career. Again, I've now studied global health. And this is just one example of the many ways that I've had to reinvent myself throughout my 20s. The last thing that I have down that no one prepared me for is a bit sad, and it's that loss is a constant. The older you get, the more constant the theme of loss will be in your life. And if you don't learn how to grieve well, it makes it difficult. In the latter part of my 20s, it seemed as if everyone around me was dying. And that's a bit extreme, but it felt like every single day I was hearing of someone that I knew, or someone that I knew of at least, who was dying. I think social media has made that even more of a reality. So even when you don't know people intimately, you may have interacted with them on socials, and when you hear of their death, you are just moved. Or you may not know the person, but you may know somebody who's close to the person. And when people share on social media, you of course feel moved as well. And I feel like I was not prepared for the central theme that loss and grief would play in my life as I got older. So these are all things that come to mind when I think of things that I was not prepared for, but I have learned during my 20s. And guys, I'm hoping that you'll let me know some of the things that you've learned, some of the key lessons, the major mindset shifts you had to make in your 20s so that you could win later in life. So share them down below. For you persons who are older than I am, please leave your wisdom in the comment section, and I will see you guys in my next video. Of course, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to share the video, and subscribe if you haven't. I will see you guys.
My crown's so heavy, better help me carry. My crown's so heavy, better help me carry. My crown's so heavy, crown's so heavy. My crown's so heavy.